Welcome to It's Okay with Rose and
Maria.
how are you, Maria?
Good, how are
Good,
you?
I've missed you.
Missed you too.
Everyone,
We missed you all.
I know we missed you all too. And we're back. We had a little bit of a lull time just because of my grandmother passing and just having some family quality time and just trying to, get things all cleared up. And I just want to thank everyone who has supported us and sent notes and wishes and condolences. It has really been very much appreciated. And thank you. Today's topic is going to be about.
Young girls dating.
I know, and you know all about that, huh? Right?
I know a little bit. Everyone has their fair share, and Rose will basically be interviewing me today to find out my perspective, but she will also give her perspective as well.
Okay.
So you want to start with the first question? Da-da-da-da-da.
Do. So, it's been a long time since I've been a young girl and single and having the dating scene. One thing I wanted to ask is, as a young girl, and for your viewers, what do you find your challenges are, and how do you manage them?
I think two of my personal biggest challenges is trust. And that doesn't even go with relationship. It goes with everyone. And then being patient, right? I think a lot of people, especially at a young age, they get caught up in finding the right person, right? Um, Almost right away. Like they're gonna stick out like a sore thumb and they're gonna be it and it's gonna be there forever. But it doesn't always happen that way. The lucky few. I'm jealous. But it doesn't always happen that way. So being patient and, you can be vulnerable to a certain extent, but you also want to see what's out there and take your time because love isn't, a whirlwind and it's not supposed to be rushed. It's supposed to be, beautiful and, it's not always gonna come to that, you know, you're the one right away. And there's gonna be you know what they say, you're gonna kiss some frogs before the right one comes along. You want to share on that topic?
Yeah, being young and have dating and you learn through the dating process, you learn a lot about yourself and
It's all experience.
yeah, you learn about and that's how you grow. You grow the person that you ultimately are with uh, is that piece of your growth in helping you to identify who you are, what your needs are, what your likes are, what your wants are, and being able to communicate that. And communication is a very big key. And I'm going to, you know, when we talk about challenges and we talk about, the communication and expressing our needs, what do you do when you with someone, you meet someone, you go out and you have the chemistry and you see qualities of that person that you really like and you click. But what for you personally,
What are those qualities?
what do you determine as, the good traits, those traits that will enhance you and make you
Make
a
me
better person
feel, yeah.
and safe, make you feel safe and, you could be yourself.
I was actually just talking about this to one of my friends a couple days ago, and off the top of my head, I think loyalty is a huge player. Without that, you don't have a lot. I think when you're committed to someone, it should be them, and that's it. I think ambition is key as well. Um, a power couple, like they say. You can't really have a power couple if there's no ambition there and there's no drive there, to get your life together and do what you want to do and, have your goals and, make them right. Another one is attraction. I think that's very important as well. Um, you know, you're gonna find a lot of people in life that you like physically, but you also need to connect to them mentally as well. Like Rose said, there needs to be that click. Those are my top three personally, that are like, if a person has that, they're automatically a step higher because I know, that I'm attracted to them. They're motivated and, they'll stick with me and I won't have to worry about X, Y, and Z.
Very good. Very
So,
good. What you look for in and what you determine the qualities and traits are in a person. Um, Now, when you're finding a person, how how do you manage now that healthy balance? You've dated, you've courted, you've determined and decided that you know what, you want to spend more time with this person and you really like each other. But, as we know in all fresh relationships, we tend to spend
a
a
lot.
lots of time together because we just feel good and we just want that euphoria feel.
Almost like the honeymoon
Yeah, yeah, but
phase.
and I think that's what's lost um in the beginning stages of relationships, that you spend so much time together because you just love that feeling that you have of euphoria. But then all of a sudden,
It could be a mistake, hidden mistake.
it could be a hidden mistake, yes, if you don't set that healthy balance, which leads into boundaries. So it's really,
Connects to one another.
yeah, they
Yeah.
do connect to one another, and that kind of ties into the next question. But let's talk on the healthy balance. You've been in relationships, and I've been in relationships, and I'm married. And how do you recognize that maybe there's a balance that you're off? Well, like, can you tell when you're off balance? How do you gear towards?
Determining a healthy balance, from my personal experience, I think I think you're completely right. Seeing each other too often can be a lot, and at first it can be great, but then it could come down to kind of like you said, like the boundaries, right? Seeing someone so often, it can actually become a negative thing in different scenarios. I personally had that become a negative thing. Therefore, I think it's better to keep the space and let each other let you guys miss each other. That way, when you finally see each other, it's like a beautiful moment and it's special and it's not like an everyday type thing.
I have a question with if we can go back to that where you said seeing each other and it can become a negative thing. Isn't it true that you're both so connected to one another that at the time you never realize it's going to be a negative thing until that phase
Is
wears
over.
out is over, and then it's like I don't have
Hits you
free
in the
time and it
face.
hits you. Yeah, so
Hits you in the
it's not
face.
something that just happens, like you're doing this and it's
Exactly.
intentionally like, oh my gosh, we
Exactly.
spend so much time together, we need to. I think that happens when you find you're losing yourself, and that's when
I
we
was
go
just
back to,
gonna, yes,
right, when you find
yes.
that you're not, you don't recognize who you are,
You're
right?
so attached onto what can be or what is, right? That you're not even, not that you should always put yourself first. Of course, like the relationship matters and the bond matters and everything, but it can go to that extent where it could be negative when you take a step back and it's like everything, you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
If that makes
Yeah,
sense. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah, you're not, and I think you get together and you're just like you're watching TV, or the other person wants to not hurt your feelings and you don't want to, tell them what you're feeling. And it becomes this domino effect that the time passes and passes and passes, and then you don't even know where the problems began, to even identify and how to fix it. And I think
So
that's
true.
why
So
but
true.
I think that also tailors into coming together and bringing like that, because you have the chemistry, because you have the attraction, and it becomes intimate. And we're not talking about intimate, in a like a level of personal, but intimate where you just that feeling of euphoria, that feeling of feeling good. This person's making you feel good about yourself.
A good feeling, yeah, butterflies and all. Yeah.
And but what you do with the that, that intention in the beginning, being able to communicate and
To,
learn
I
about
think answer our questions.
you
It
just,
really drills down to communication.
hmm
And you know what? If you don't have it in the beginning, you're already a step back,
hmm
honestly, because it has to be from the start, and you have to be honest with each
hmm
other.
and
Because you
I
could talk all you want, but if you're not honest and you know you're not straight up, things will crumble down. And I just know from experience, and Rose knows as well.
but I think that communication can be very scary. I think that sometimes, women tend to not want to ask certain questions for fear of, scaring somebody off
Or rejection.
or rejection. And then the guys, they don't know, they're not communicators. And, they just go by, oh, what they're looking to do is make you happy. They're looking to make the woman happy. And as long as the woman is happy, there's no
Then they
questions
think,
that
yeah,
everything
yeah,
is fine.
yeah.
So, with your experience, what would you say? I know that you've had, relationships that, would you say that you have grown from them? Would you have say that you learned about yourself, that you would, when you go out there and date someone, or someone you meet that you want to explore, what could you say you've learned about yourself, and what could you offer to the young girls that are like you in this dating world? Because the one thing I have to say that's really challenge that's a big challenge, and I know we did that on right in the
Yeah,
beginning,
yeah, yeah.
is social media. There's just that access that everybody has to one
Very
another.
easy.
And I think that
Very
one
easy.
thing is a
Yes.
relationship should stay off social media.
Better to be private always.
Hmm
I think
hmm
that's
hmm
a
hmm
major key. Um, piggybacking on social media, that also goes with the trust as well, because you could be with your partner all day, you could be with them every day, right? You could be attached to them. You won't even be focusing on what you have to do. You'll be focusing on the relationship, right? The second you leave, they'll be on their phone doing who knows what, right? You have to communicate your feelings. If you're not feeling someone anymore, or you just don't think it's working out, it's better to be honest. And it's for the sake of not only yourself but them as well.
hmm
You have to be
hmm
honest.
hmm
Social media is a big problem. Um, I'm on social media. I'm not, I'm not putting social media down, but it definitely um,
Well, you don't
is.
use it for that. You're
No,
very good with, you're very
I'm.
mature.
It's just a friendly. It's for my friends. It's for my family.
And it's
It's
what
for
we're
it's
doing.
for our
Yeah.
talk show, our
Yeah, it's
podcast.
it's it's outreach. It's
Um,
outreach. It's
it can
trying to
be
make a
negative though.
difference.
Or the point we're trying to make it is it can be negative, and
Hmm
it can cause complications. Therefore, communication, can't stress it. We talked about this before in another episode, right?
Communicate. Well, you know what? Communication is
In
is
all
is
types
is
of
big. Hmm
relationships, in life, in everything,
hmm
you
You
have to
have to
be
be able to
honest.
you have to be honest. You have to be able to express yourself. And I think, communication is just not about, being honest and expressing yourself. Communication is also being able to, um
Keep your word, and
yeah, but communicate too, because, we could be honest, but doesn't necessarily mean that that person who's being honest is their truth, or your truth. Because you've had people who are honest with you, but not it was their truth, but it wasn't necessarily yours. So, communication goes, all different ways. But at the end of the day, you need to communicate as effective as you can, with
communicate the boundaries, right?
and the
Whatever they may
boundaries. Yeah.
be,
hmm
specific for each person, of course.
hmm
It literally plays into everything that we're talking about. So I think,
And how do you communicate? Like, we'll go on to that, and we'll close with that. How do you
how do you
communicate your
communicate?
boundaries? How do you communicate your needs so you're heard? And how do you identify when you're not being heard? And what do you do about it?
So your question is, how do I communicate?
Like, how do you communicate your needs
Well,
and how do
the
you
first step
your
to
boundaries?
communication is when you realize something and when you think of something, right? When you come down, to realization, you're not going to wait on it, right? It's like being upset and then bottling up all your feelings. There's going to be a point where you explode, right? You need to communicate from the beginning. This is on my mind. This is what's happening. This is how I feel. Here we are. I'm putting it on the table, right? Not keeping it back. I think that's the best way to communicate. There's been problems in the past in my relationships where I didn't communicate fast enough and he didn't communicate fast enough, right? So the
You didn't
longer
give
you're
that.
keeping it in, the worse the situation gets.
Mhm.
Whether it's a good communication or it's a bad communication, you have to there's a guideline, right? And not everything's going to be perfect, but I think from experience and from my personal experience, it's really like probably the most important thing to have. And I
Absolutely.
don't want to sound dramatic, but that's honestly, it's the truth.
No,
It's
it is the truth. I think I think communication sets the platform for a very healthy, positive relationships,
especially for young girls,
especially
because
for
that's
young
where it all
girls.
starts.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Listen, I can be honest with you. Like I have learned how to communicate. It's I'm a middle-aged woman. Say, let's give it the number. I'm 52, and I'm happy to be 52, and I'm happy to be where I am, where I've learned how important communication is. I didn't know how to communicate my needs. I didn't know how to communicate my feelings, and I didn't know how to set boundaries.
And then you
And
realized
then you
one day
realize,
you just
and
realized
yeah,
it's just
and but you know
really
what? It's obtaining tools. You don't just wake up one day and realize are intentional about that. And that's the other piece of it too, is being intentional. I think everything that we do is we have to be intentional in how we're going to communicate, how we're going to manage certain situations.
friendships as well.
Friendship, yeah, friendships,
You are
relationships.
so welcome. Thank you for
You're welcome.
interviewing
You're
me.
welcome.
Put on the
And
spot for the night. Oh,
she's beautiful, isn't she?
thank you.
Yes, she is. Look at those. Look
Even
at
though
that smile.
I'm sunburnt, by the way. You
But
can't tell on the
remember,
camera, but
but remember one thing. No matter what you go through, no matter what you feel, no matter what you face, it's okay.
it's okay. And
Have
we
a
are
great
here
night.
to say it's okay. And we will be back with. Actually, I'm not going to say. We're going to surprise them.
Yeah, we'll talk about. Yep, we'll surprise you on the next topic.
We will see you
If
soon.
there is a topic that you want to hear,
mention it below.
yep, drop a comment, share. If you think any part of this message somebody else would gain something from,
It could resonate.
yes, resonate. Perfect word.
It's a great word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just share it. Have a good night, everyone. And
Good night.
remember, it is okay.
Yes.